Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me again. Derek Lane, your host for the Fast Lane Podcast for Success. Thank you for joining me. We will talk a little bit about the negative people. We're going to kind of get into negative people. Number one, how to recognize them. Number two is how to deal with them. And I think that anybody listening to this podcast is no stranger to having to deal with negative people around you at some point or another. And so this should be interesting and enlightening for us as we jump into it. So let's get going. Okay, all right, well, let's get going with negative people here. Number one, I guess, would be recognizing, the negative person and, some of the traits or characteristics that a negative person has. One is that a negative person is always trying to tell you what to do and what's best for you. They're trying to run everybody else's lives because there's something amiss in their own. So recognize that right away when people are always like, you should, you need to, hold the phone, I got this. Number two is negative people tend to worry a lot. That's, expected out of negative people. They worry about things, and they worry about things that are not in their control. They just typical warriors. They live in a default position. In other words, there's a little bit of a brain function that they have, if you want to call it a neurological disorder that they haven't overcome, that they have, I think, scientifically or psychology, if you will call this the amygdala. And that's part of the brain that wants to register bad news all the time. So that is one of the reasons why they're always on the lookout for bad news or danger. Fear, and it's because of the fight or flight syndrome that they've not adapted to. So recognize that. Positive people develop that ability to overcome that, those negatives. They evaluate and they counter problems. The negative people never seem to do that. Negative people are always secretive. They've always got, seems like they're hiding things, and it's just because of their shortcomings. They've not learned to come out and just be totally honest. That's one of the big breakthroughs with positive people. Positive people are honest. They just, I got nothing to hide. I'll tell you how it is. We're experiencing the world. We're experiencing, the love in the world. I'm going to tell you how things are. Negative people tend to be very pessimistic, and I know, is that a contradiction of terms? Negative people, pessimistic? Kinda, but pessimism in these terms really leads to the expectation of bad things. They're always expecting bad things, bad news. So that's what I mean by being very pessimistic. They tend to be the first person to deliver bad news. Hey, did you hear? Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. It's always bad news. They thrive on bad news. It just makes, that's the only joy they get, is by delivering bad news. So understand that about negative people. Negative people are also thin-skinned. They cannot take criticism very well at all, even jokingly. You can tell a positive person by the ability to laugh at themselves, the ability to say, I get it, I'm balding. I get it, I'm overweight. I get it. Negative people, oh my gosh, criticize them and they get angry. So, there again, this is why we're talking about it, is for you to understand that's a negative trait. Negative people always complain a lot. They complain about the smallest little details. Oh my God, I didn't get enough fries with my Happy Meal or whatever it is. Just petty things that they complain about. And instead of just, hey, go on with it. Nobody wants to hear it all the time. But these people don't get that. They think you want to hear about their shortcomings and the reasons that they're always pissed off about things. Negative people always live within their comfort zone. Never branch out, never take chances. It is such a fear for negative people to want to take a chance, to branch out. They go to the same place, do the same thing, eat the same meals. They're by and large, they're very boring people. Negative people love the word but. Yeah, but. I get it, but. They always have objections. They always have things. And again, it comes from that fear that they live within. And that, again, that neurological disorder that says I got to stay within my comfort zone. And a little bit of your success makes me uncomfortable. So they don't like successful people. They like negative people. A little bit to be said about that, and we're going to get into it. They're underachievers, obviously, because, they hold themselves back. Not very optimistic. And when I mean that, again, sounds like a contradiction of terms. However, understand that negative people don't harbor any hope for the future. The same old. Why should I even try? You're a fool for trying. If you think things are going to get better, you're fooling yourself. Negativism is a killer. And the biggest one that I can say that you need to recognize is what I call energy vampires. Energy vampires. They will suck the energy right out of you. Your little uptick in the day, your little small victory, they will find a way to bring it down, suck the life out of it, not let you enjoy it, making excuses for it. Yeah, but, okay, that was cool, but they take the energy right out of you. It's crazy. They're always missing out on good things, the good things in life, because they're focused on the negative. They look for the negative in good news. The news comes out today. The economy is doing great. Well, yeah, it's short term. It's because of this and that. Unemployment rate is down. Well, yeah, you just wait. It's going to go back up. It's always the same thing with negative people. They can't help themselves. They cannot help themselves. So, those are just some examples of how to recognize negative people. And I think intuitively, if you're a positive person, you recognize it already. You don't need the cosmetic application of recognizing negative people. You feel it, you get it. But here's the twist. why do you have negative people in your life? Why are negative people attracted to you and you're trying to stay so positive? You know, you've even gone as far as you bought the book The Secret because, you know, you're going to be positive, you're going to attract good things in your life. But yet negativity seems to surround you, or at least negative people. Well, my friends, again, that's the twist. You need to search deep within your soul. You need to ask yourself a few questions. Am I that person? Am I the person maybe I just described? Are even some of those traits and characteristics part of me? And you want to be a positive person. You don't mean to be negative. You don't want to irritate people. Okay. First thing is to understand it, to recognize it, right? So, having said that, understanding the negative traits is a path toward being a positive person, having a positive attitude. Now, when you encounter a negative person, remind yourself to detach yourself from that. And when I say detach yourself, I mean understand they're negative and don't let yourself be consumed. And negative people always try to draw you in. Again, in a little energy, vampires draw you into their negativity, and with questions, like don't you agree, or right, no. Your job is to be honest and go, no, I don't see it that way at all. I see it as a positive. I see it as a good thing. I see it as at least on the track for positive change. Even if there's a glimmer of hope or a silver lining somewhere, positive people need to recognize it and hold on to, again, the silver lining. Negative people want to draw on the bad things. So be the person that holds on to the good in every outcome. Remind a negative person. It's very simple too. If somebody's being negative, just tell them. You're being a little negative about this. Hey, why don't you look at the good things? Look at the uptick. That lets that person know you're not a negative person like them. You are a positive person with a positive outcome, expectation. I've always told the story of you're sitting home at night, you're watching your favorite television program, and you're kind of zoned out in television, and you get a knock at the door. Gosh, who could this be? You open the door, it's a good friend of yours. Hey, come on in. And you notice that the good friend of yours is holding a garbage bag. And you're like, hey, what's with the garbage bag? And just at that moment, they take the garbage bag, flip it upside down, and dump all of the garbage onto your floor, onto your living room. All of their garbage. You'd get pretty mad, wouldn't you? Be pretty pissed. What are you doing? What the heck? I'm going to beat your butt. Come on. Yet, we allow people to dump their garbage on us all the time. Mentally. Don't allow... It's the same